Azonish and Reb Chaim Noah, and we also explained the issue concerning the Rishonim, in other words, how to understand the sugya in Maseches Rosh Hashanah, and whether that according to some Rishonim, that sugya it goes according to the Chazonish, according to other Rishonim, it doesn't indicate anything. And we said that according to the Chazonish, the international dateline runs 90 degrees east of Yerushalayim, which we said is approximately 35 90 is 125. Well, we still have a little bit of a line here. And we said that according to the to Reb Chaim Noah, the line runs 180 degrees east of Yerushalayim, which is approximately more or less over here. Okay, so this is the Chazonish. This is I said Reb Chaim Noah, sorry. Tukachinsky.
Who's that?
That's actually Reb Chaim Noah, the one who argues the Chazonish. About the shiurim.
Is he a god
about the shiurim. He wasn't, Reb Chaim Noah just recorded Minhag Yerushalayim. It's not actually his shita. It's just called Reb Chaim Noah's shita. But it's the prevalent minhag until the Chazonish came along. But here it's actually Reb Yechiel Michal Tukachinsky, who represented the.
Who's that?
He was one of the Talmidei Chacham Yerushalayim who wrote the Luach for Eretz Yisrael and who also was a expert on astronomy, matters having to do with halachic astronomy. So we mentioned also that according to the Chazonish holds that that the dateline, although should be at a 90-degree angle, in fact it skirts the land masses. In other words, any landmass which is partially in the upper hemisphere, the one which has Eretz Yisrael, continues to be part and parcel of Eretz Yisrael, that side of the dateline, and that would include Siberia and Australia. Now, what it doesn't include is Japan. Japan falls out on the other side of the dateline, and as we explained last week in detail, it's here at the actual international dateline as used today. We would go when one crosses the line, we'll go from Sunday into Monday or from Monday into Tuesday. So in halacha, according to Chazonish, one would make that change from Sunday to Monday over here, not back here. So that means all the people in this area between the international dateline and the halachic international dateline are keeping their Shabbos on the wrong day because they're keeping it a day earlier than it should be. Again, if you say that although the date changes when you cross the line over here according to secular standards, but it doesn't change until you go over here according to halachic standards, so then this whole area over here between the international dateline and the halachic international dateline is keeping the wrong day of the week. They're assuming it's Monday, whereas it's really still Sunday. They're assuming it's Tuesday, whereas it's really still Monday. And they're assuming it's Shabbos, while it's really still Friday. And they're assuming it's Sunday, while it's really Shabbos. Okay? One second. Now, let's use Rav Tukachinsky for a moment. Let's take a look at his issue, which is that, again, over here would be the change from Sunday to Monday. So actually, let's say you were flying to Hawaii, according to Rabbi Tukachinsky. So when Rabbi Tukachinsky, when you fly to Hawaii and you cross this line, then you're flying from Sunday into Monday, just like if you fast internationally on over here. The thing is, in Hawaii, they're not keeping that. They're going by the international dateline over here. So therefore, the day that they think is Monday in Hawaii is still Sunday, according to halacha, according to Tukachinsky. The day that they think is Tuesday is still Monday. The day that they think is... the other way around. The day they think is Monday... I got it wrong. You fly from Sunday into Monday over here, but they still think it's Sunday, right? So the day they think is Sunday is really Monday. The day they think is Monday is really Tuesday. The day they think is Friday is really Shabbos. And the day they think is Shabbos is really Sunday. Again, if the line falls on the far side of the date line, so then all the people over here think they're a day ahead are really a day behind. If the line falls over here, on this side, so all those people who think they're on the right day are really not on the right day. They should be on. It should really be the next day already. Okay, they are not a day ahead, but a day. These people are
a day ahead.
These are a day ahead, and these are a day behind. That's the way it works. Okay, who's totally confused at the moment?
I have one question. Sit on this. Just one question.
The baloney, but ask it.
How did Mir? Why did Mir?
And we're getting there. We started there. We're getting there. Okay, so let's try this again. Last week we proved, and I wanted to go through it again. You can watch the tape. That there has to be an international date line somewhere on Earth, a place on Earth in which you cross from one day into another day. There's got to be somewhere, even though it's the middle of the day or the middle of the night. It's not midnight. It's not Shkia. There has to be some place like that on Earth. And that place, according to Halacha, is either 90 degrees east of Yerushalayim or 180 degrees east of Yerushalayim. According to the secular law, according to the secular standards, it's 180 degrees east of Greenwich, England. So that means that there's a discrepancy between the Halachic international date line and the actual international date line. Now, what's the ramification of that? The ramification of that is that line at which one passes from one day to another is at the wrong place. And there's certain people who assume that they either have already passed one day into the other, but they have not. And other people who assume that they have not passed from one day to another, but they really have. Again, moving the line over from the line where it is, where people assume it to be, is going to cause some people to be mistaken one way, or other people to be mistaken another way. So let's look at it this way again. If we move the line over to the west, right? So therefore, these people over here think it's Monday because they're on this side of the line. But in fact, it's not Monday because the line is over here. So therefore, this day, which they think is really Monday, is really still Sunday. Okay? So therefore, all these people from here to here are off. Off. The day they think of them is Monday is really still Sunday. So therefore, the day they think is Shabbos is really still Friday. The day they think is Sunday is really Shabbos. If you move the daylight to the east, which is what we do if we move it over here, so then what happens is that people think that they're not yet over the line, and therefore they are on the same day as these people over here because they're on the same line as the date line. In Hawaii, the date is the same date as it is here in New York, right? It's January 20th. But in fact, and it's the same, actually the date doesn't matter so much. It's the same day week. They think it's Tuesday there. But it's not in Halacha. Because when you pass over here, you pass actually into Wednesday. So actually in Halacha, it's Wednesday in Hawaii. Because that's the line.
Alaska also creates problems.
Alaska also creates problems. Yeah. One second.
How do you go from Monday to Wednesday?
It's Tuesday.
Oh, it's
Tuesday. Tuesday to Wednesday. And therefore, when you pass, actually, the day they think it's Friday is really Shabbos. And the day they think it's Shabbos is really Sunday. Yeah.
So can you combine, that's two shirts, right? They're next to
Yeah.
going for Alaska. Can you combine that with the preservation statement that has to go around Alaska?
So Rav Tukachinsky actually was asked about that. He was asked about Alaska. And he said that he thinks that Alaska is going to follow North America, but for not for the reason you're thinking. Not because it skirts land masses, but rather because he believed that the first people to come to Alaska came from the United States. And therefore they brought Shabbos with them. In other words, he also holds the line is not a hard and fast line. Has to do with who got there first.
Russians did.
No,
You know that, and I know that, but Rav Tukachinsky didn't know that.
Why didn't...
Okay?
He was alive in the 1900s. Why didn't he know that?
I guess that he didn't learn that aspect of American history.
Does that have to be Jew to create the thing or not?
It's a good question. Seems yes, but not necessarily.
So like American Indians who got there before, like maybe it's the Russians or Eskimos.
Well, nowadays they hold that the Russians came from Siberia before anybody else got there.
But as I understand it,
By the way, before Russia, before Seward's Folly. Anybody remember Seward's Folly?
No.
That was a big
Seward's
expedition,
Ice Bar,
No.
Oh, fine.
How much?
Like, no, like $7 million.
$7 million. Very good. Then when Secretary of State Seward under Lincoln bought Alaska for $7 million from Russia, so it was called Seward's Folly because everybody thought it was a stupid move. They didn't know about the oil back then. So in fact, Alaska had to change time zones because Alaska was keeping the same day as Russia. So now they had to change to keep as America.
I think they rented it. They didn't buy it.
No, the Americans bought it.
Are you sure about this?
Yes.
Because I know I'm serious. I don't think Russian. I've heard
As much as Yeltsin might want it back, it belongs now to America.
Putin.
rented it and then they
That's no
bought it back.
Putin.
Medvedev.
Vladimir Putin.
I
Yes.
said that they rented it for like a long time and then Russia wanted it back. They said Russia said after the revolution that we don't want any debts and we don't pay, basically we don't pay any debts and we don't want anyone war with us.
I don't think so.
That never ever
Maybe you're right.
happened.
Maybe. I don't-
Propaganda.
No, I said first time I heard they actually bought it.
Yeah.
No.
But we did conquer land. America did conquer land, just not
Wait.
Alaska.
Yeah.
This is another question.
Let's say I went on one way going to put it before I forget. Reb Nachman Mendel Kasher has a third shita. I told you there's 7 shitas where the Halachic International Dateline runs. We just saw the 2 major ones so far. But Reb Nachman Mendel Kasher has a third shita. Actually notes that Rabbi Tukachinsky on his map of the world where he drew his dateline conveniently omitted to put in Hawaii. Now, it could be Rabbi Tukachinsky had no clue how important Hawaii was to Americans. But it's not there, so therefore you don't realize that it's an issue. Yeah.
So I was about to ask, what are the people that actually live in these areas, Hawaii?
I'm getting there. Now, once I mentioned Rabbi Kasher, and let me say his shita, which is the third shita.
What's the problem if I live in a place that they think is Saturday and they keep it as Saturday for Shabbos? How much is resting halachic?
I'll get there in a second. I just want to get this third shita in, okay? Besides that, there are another few shitas. But this third shita is important. This is how most people are noeg halach l'maisa. I don't think they should, but this is how most people are noeg. Like the shita Reb Menachem Mendel Kasher wrote, was that many people wrote an entire book on the topic, and his shita is that which is held by Reb Tzvi Pesach Frank, who was the Rav of Yerushalayim for many years, one of the outstanding Talmidei Chachamim of the 20th century, is that, and this is most interesting how halachic methodology point, is that if the Rambam, the Rosh, the Tur, the Shulchan Aruch, all of these great poskim say nothing about where the international dateline is, we can put it wherever we want. And therefore, it happens to be the most convenient place for us to put it is smack dab on the secular international dateline. And that is what we do. Which is a fascinating concept. In other words, you can have Rishonim who speak about something. You might even have evidence from Chazal about something. But if it ain't in the poskim, let freedom reign. And you can decide to do what you want and put it where you want it. Now again, there has to be such a line. But the way you put it, where it's convenient. Yeah.
So could you put the line right over here, right in New York City, right down the Canadian?
In theory, yeah. It would wreak havoc. But yeah, in theory, you could do that. Yeah.
Why did you put the line?
Crazy. Oh my god.
Why could you put
It was
the?
so much fun. It's Irish, it's Sunday. We hear
Yeah.
it, show.
Why?
It was a sheet. One of the many other shitos is that the line actually went between Eretz Yisrael and Bavel.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Why?
Wait,
why?
who says that?
Somebody, I forgot who.
Wait, but why is it? The question is, why could you put it wherever you want to put it? Scientifically, it's not.
There's no science on it.
Wait,
Then what is it?
It was an arbitrary decision made by the Association of Astronomers, the Convention of Astronomers, which got together in Greenwich, England in 1884.
But why does Gemara happen if that's the case?
What do you mean why it's more habits? Because there has to be such a point on Earth.
Oh.
I mean,
So it could be anywhere on Earth.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
How can it make sense to put it between Eretz Yisrael and Babel? They keep the same day.
It really makes no sense.
Rosh Hashanah.
Right. But there is such a shita. Based on little pshat like Gemara Rosh Hashanah.
It's not in Greenwich.
Same.
What?
Not in Greenwich. Our logic real the daylight is 180 degrees all the way there.
What?
A logic, not a logic like Greenwich is
It's not in Greenwich. It's the exact opposite side of the
Right
world
there.
from Greenwich. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now let's go back to the mirror for now. So again, the mirror it was in 1940 was in Japan. The mirror Yeshiva bucket.
Shanghai.
No,
No?
they were in Japan.
Beige.
They started in Japan.
Tokyo.
Trust me on this. Okay,
Then they
Kobe.
went to Kobe.
No, Kobe, Japan.
Yeah.
Kobe
Well,
beef.
Listen, guys. One thing you can't compete with me is history.
Kyoto.
You want to argue in the Torah, you can argue in the Torah, but the history you can't argue.
And then where in
The-
Japan did they go?
To Shanghai after Japan.
Oh, okay.
So the Mir Yeshiva came to Japan. Kobe is not on the map. I don't know exactly where it is, but in any event, so now they had a problem because the Halachic International Dateline they knew even according to Chazon Ish, who holds it skirts land masses, it's going to go in the Sea of Japan between Japan and Korea. So therefore, because since Japan is not part of that landmass, then what day are they going to keep Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur? Again, Shabbos, they kept 2 days Shabbos every week, big deal. But, yeah,
So
what are they going to do on Yom Kippur?
2 days.
So therefore, as many, I want you to know later on, just in one of the many other shittas, as I said, in the Halachic International Dateline, later on in the 70s, somebody, not a big time Mechacham, a Rav, came up with the logic, which I think is a good logic, but too bad, which is that we can, since Japan is so close, let's just draw the line like that. Right?
That's a good logic. I like it.
Yeah.
That's logic? What does he use to support?
Well, look, it's under Siberia, and Siberia making part of that side of the line. So Japan, why Japan?
New Guinea's right above northern Australia.
Right, so New Guinea too, but no Jews ever New Guinea. So therefore, when there's young Israel, Papua New Guinea, so we'll deal with it.
New Zealand has.
Chabad's probably there.
New Zealand is talking a problem. We'll come to that in a few moments.
The thing is, we'd be utterly flabbergasted. Young Israelis are not Chabad.
Yeah. So as many Jews, as many Bachrim, Shiva Bachrim from Jews who could get to Shanghai before, which is also over here, Shanghai before Yom Kippur did, that the ones were in Japan, they sent the Charlotte to Eretz Yisrael, and Yechir Mechatuchinsky in the name of most of the Eretz Yisrael, Paskin, according to his sheet of that, Japan is keep Shabbos and Yom Kippur, of course, on the right day, because they're on the right side of the Halachic International Dateline and the secular Dateline, again, because according to the Dateline's over here. And therefore, they should keep Yom Kippur on a Wednesday, which was the day was going to be that year. The Chazon Ish sent a telegram and said, no, since the old International Dateline goes like this, so therefore, he said they should fast on Thursday, not on Wednesday. Again, even though, according to the calendar of Japan, that would be the 11th day of Tishrei, since according to Chazon Ish, they were a day off. It's the 10th day of Tishrei, and therefore they should fast on Thursday.
They listen to Chazon Ish.
Most of them listen to Chazon Ish. Some people fasted 2 days. I'm sure even those who ate on Wednesday ate less than a shear each time they ate. But in any event, the point is that the Chazon Ish's opinion was considered, because the Chazon Ish's preeminence in halachic issues was considered to be the primary opinion by the Bachrim, by the Mir Yeshiva administration, I should say.
Why didn't they hold by the same day as the existing community? Japan,
There was no real legitimate Jewish community in Japan.
I mean, there were people there, though. I mean,
Very few. They say, it's a famous story that one of the people who came to Japan as a refugee there were not just Mir Yeshiva Bachar. One of them was with the Yam Shinover Rebbe. And the Yam Shinover Rebbe was a very, very smart man. And the Japanese interrogated everybody who came. And the Japanese asked the Yam Shinover, they said to him, of course, they were allies with the Nazis already. They said, why do the Germans hate you? You seem to be nice people. Why do the Germans hate you? And of course, with the wrong answer, might have people who might have gotten them in trouble. So the Amshin never answered, because we're Orientals.
Everybody's Asians.
Okay, so
How did he show that was true?
because Japanese are Orientals too.
Yeah, but how do you show that Jews are Orientals?
Because Jews,
we're Asians, yes.
I heard we're Asians.
same idea. Okay, Asians, Orientals, the same idea. Yeah.
So why do some of them keep 2 days? Or they just fast can keep it, or the husband each or the brother?
Yeah, because they're Mesupuk. I mean, ultimately, there's no way we can give a single, what's the word I'm looking for? A single,
Theory?
no, single,
all-encompassing,
no, encompassing,
authoritative.
maybe authoritative or determined or or final psak, because it's a machlokas achronim.
Okay, but you choose one.
Okay, so you can choose one, but Yom Kippur, people, it's heavy. Shabbos, Yom Kippur, these are heavy things.
You mean like
Can you get back to the answer?
If it comes to say Tachnun on a Monday or a Thursday, so then we can. So they won't say Tachnun. They won't say the one Tachnun. Big deal, right? But when it comes to, they say the one Tachnun a different day. It's not so terrible to say the one Tachnun on Tuesday, right?
There's a mission.
But when it comes to Shabbos, Yom Kippur, this is heavy stuff.
So why can't you designate a day in a week? This is Shabbos for us and everything else.
Because Shabbos, there is an absolute Shabbos. You can't just designate Shabbos at random. There is 6 days and Shabbos.
It counts 6 days.
You can't start from scratch. You have to start from the last known Shabbos.
But there's an absolute Shabbos. Doesn't that mean there's an absolute every day?
There is an absolute every day. They're off on every day if they're off on Shabbos, right?
But isn't there a Mishnah that we paskin from?
No.
There's a Mishnah that says that we count every single day. Let's say you're lost in the desert.
That's only midrabanan. Midaraisa makes no difference. That's why the maskana of that sugya is that you're not allowed to do malacha any day except for pikuach and what you need to keep yourself alive. And every 7th day, you do the rabbanans like kiddush and davening and things like that. But the raisa, you can't change Shabbos on your own. It's not up to you.
Also, I have one more.
You say before you only have one question. Just go ahead.
Okay, the other question is, how come was Moshe Feinstein, who wrote on every single tshuva under the sun?
He didn't. He wasn't asked this question.
But no one asked. I
guess not.
But he wrote Shiloh's, even if he
No, usually not.
it still doesn't. It still
think
bothers.
it
Why
It's
did
still something so cool. Why didn't Reb Moshe write on it?
I don't know. It's a good question. Ask from David.
I have to tact.
I'll ask him what's
I think we
Yeah.
have an issue about they didn't want to get into that focus.
Maybe. Yes.
Okay, on the subject of what the Yom Kippur is, there's a Mishnah in Rosh Hashanah that says that basically, it's like a challenge from Rav to another else.
Right, Yeshua to Rabbi Gamliel.
Right.
Yeah, but that's when there's a Sanhedrin. Now there's no Sanhedrin. We're using a Luach. There's no such thing as a unilateral.
One single decision for everyone.
Just because I printed a Luach and my Luach says it's going to be on that day, that doesn't make it definitive.
But what if you're like a Posek Ador?
There is no Posek Ador.
No?
No.
Well, I thought you sold down Loba.
There's no Posek Ador. There's no.
Why is there? If everyone
There
goes
can't
by
be
what
one.
Rashi
Everyone
says.
considers
There
Moshe
no.
Feinstein.
What? No.
I go by
Why?
Rav.
That's the.
There's no Posek Ador,
Everyone
and
was
if there's
careful.
no Sanhedrin, and there's no such thing as a Posek Ador.
But there's something close.
It's close, but no cigar. Right. There, you can get close, but it's not the same thing.
What's the closest you get?
What?
What's the closest you get?
The Rambam, Shulchan Aruch, right? They were close. But even people argue the Rambam, like the Ravid. People argue the Shulchan Aruch, like the Ramah. People argue the Ramah, like the Shach and Taz. So you get close. But you don't never have anybody who's the actual absolute
Okay,
closest.
why can't we?
Because halach isn't made to be absolute.
That's right.
So, but when in these type of decisions, people they follow a Rav, they follow a Rav. Why isn't he let's say for a group of North American Jews.
The question is, how do you choose which Rav to follow?
Why can't everyone just vote like a Sanhedrin?
Vote on what? How do you decide who's voting? You mean all of Klal Yisrael should take a poll?
No, what we should do is get all the big rabbis.
How do you determine a big rabbi? Who's a big rabbi? I'm pretty fat. Let's say only people who have waists over 45 inches. How do we determine this?
Okay, like people like Rabbi Feinstein and the Satmar Rebbe.
And how do you determine who's in that category?
How do we determine?
Yeah.
Because everyone determines Rabbi Feinstein as a leader.
How do you determine the bottom? Who's going to say,
Yeah.
somebody, he's right up.
What's the cutoff point?
They should go door to door and get signatures.
Yeah.
It's a
Yes.
test. Give it like
Who does
So
the
I generally heard that a person shouldn't pick and choose his halachas. Like, he shouldn't pick and choose which halacha he likes. Like for this, I'm going to do like Ramosha, who's Mekel, but for Chol Yisrael, I'm not going to.
That's only for the masses.
But for a person who's discerning and has a shkafa, he's allowed to pick and choose his halacha.
Hashkafa or halacha?
Halacha.
A person who's discerning can pick and choose his opinion.
That's great.
How do you determine?
I do it all the time. If
you
you have the acumen to understand a halachic sugya, and you go
said
into...
you don't understand halachic sugya.
Huh? You went through it, you understand what it's about. You went through the chuvas, you went through the psakim, you have an opinion.
But Hashkafa, is that right?
Okay, fine. Keely, you have an opinion, so then you're allowed to decide which one you want to go.
There's a famous story, Feinstein story. I've told over the story before. Ramosha Feinstein Paskins, it's forbidden to smoke on Yontif. It's Ramosha's Psak. So for many years, Reb Reuven Feinstein, his son, who no longer smokes, but then smoked on Yontif. So one day somebody asked him, how can you smoke on Yontif? Your father, Paskins, and it is in the Igros Moshe, that one is not allowed to smoke on Yontif. So Reb Reuven went to Reb Moshe and asked him, he said, is it true that you asked her smoking on Yontif? So Reb Moshe said, yeah. So he asked him, so Reb Reuven asked Reb Moshe, so how come you never told me that it's awesome? So Reb Moshe said, I figured that you probably went through the sugya and came to a different conclusion. So that is the way halacha works. No.
Oh.
He just assumed that he stopped. Yes. So, but
because I know David argues on it a lot, which is really cool.
And Reuven or Moshe?
Moshe.
Okay. So the.
You arguing your father?
Yeah.
No, why not?
David argues on his father.
Rabbeinu Tam argues on Rashi all the time. It's his grandson.
But if he's alive,
And his son-in-law argues on it.
Sure you can.
You can.
As long as you're right. As long as you have a heter hara. I bet you Reb Reuven had smicha from his father. If I had to guess, I would say Reuven Feinstein got smicha from Reb Moshe Feinstein. The moment Reb Moshe Feinstein gave him that piece of paper, that's what it means.
But now Hashkafa, from Hashkafa, should a person be changed?
If he has again an expertise in the halachic process and understands the halachic process and has gone through the sugya, yes.
What's the makar for that though?
Logic.
Logic?
Yeah.
Don't we have a makar we're supposed to follow the Divrei Rabbeinu?
No.
We don't have any makar for that.
It is for people who don't know the halacha. People don't know the halachic process. In Simon Reish Mem Beis, and that's what all these principles are.
Oh, so the Rambam.
Yeah, I'm exact. There is Simon Reish Mem Beis here. The Shulchan Aruch speaks about these principles. When you have to ask a rav, when you don't have to ask a rav, etc., etc. In fact,
and even when you ask a rav, if he gave you smicha, you can argue on him and not do what he said.
If he gave you a heter hara, yes, yeah. Okay, there's a question whether in the same city, not in the same city, then halacha, but lamaisa. In our day and age, you can. There's important point. It's important to know that you can rely on a rav, and that's great, but you can't be an ostrich. In other words, if you know that your rav is wrong somehow, you can't rely on your rav. If you know that if you go through the sugya, you yourself might may reach a different conclusion, then you might be able to rely on the rav for the time being, but maybe you should go through the sugya yourself and see what conclusion you're going to reach. This is not necessarily true for
But
You know,
it might not be objective.
for most people, but I just want you should be aware of this, that this thing of following one Rav is only true as long as you don't have the capacity to figure things out on your own. Yeah.
What are you subjective on a certain issue? When you're gonna look into the sugi on your own, you're gonna be subjective to it. Let's say you're trying to find a heter for something. So you're gonna learn in a way the exact.
So you are, by definition, just disqualify yourself as opposing. Yeah.
So how are you supposed to go through the halachic process?
You were supposed to do it without negiyas, or you try to do it as objectively as you possibly can.
Rabbi, what
Be
about
honest with yourself.
Do only things that you don't
Rabbi,
care
what about
Yeah.
all these great poskim who like in the case where the chicken fell into in the pot where the milk had a bit in it and then he was able to find a kula or whatever. So these people are obviously going to look for a heter in the other places.
See, it's interesting thing. It's important to know the task. This is a critique which is heard very often, which I'm not sure is 100% true, but the point is an interesting one. In the old days, meaning say till the 1970s, the job of a rav was to find heterim. In other words, it's easy to aser a chicken, right? The question is, can somebody be matir the chicken? So you went to the Rav, and the Rav would try, because you were a poor widow, Rahman al-Islam, or you were very, very, you had a special occasion where if the chicken was treif, your meal would be totally destroyed. So the Rav would go look ahead for a heter for you. That was his job. And the Rav was supposed to find as many heterim as he possibly can. Sometime around the 1970s, the job of the Rav became the exact opposite. Now, Rabbanim are supposed to look for as many chumras as possible. And that actually was a paradigm shift from what a Rav was originally supposed to do to the contemporary job of a Rav.
Now,
So, Rabbi,
basically-
we hold the contemporary.
Wait, are they
now?
actually just going over fulfilling the wishes of their constituents by doing that?
It may well be.
Okay.
I'm not talking about the motivations, just talking about the paradigm.
Are they trying to differentiate with the conservative movement? Like
No, because there was a third movement a long time before that.
Yeah, but nobody listened to them.
Nobody listens to them either.
Well,
Okay.
modern Orthodox. Well, modern Orthodox.
What?
Is that something they're trying to do? No?
I don't know. Could be, but I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, so is there any way we could look into the Gemara Rosh Hashanah to determine when 0 hour was and just say that the Halachic Dateline is over there?
There is somebody who does that.
Okay.
Reb Ben Zion Shapiro, who wrote a paper called the Bnei Zion, he figures out astronomically, so he claims, where the sun was at the exact moment when it was put in the sky on the fourth day, and based on that time, that was 9 o'clock in Gan Eden, and based on that, he determines what the actual
so that's
dayline
why
is.
she was starting at 9
And
o'clock in the morning.
He goes, he puts it approximately actually where this one is, which is 135 degrees east of Yerushalayim, based on his calculations.
It's the one that's 2 degrees away from the international dayline,
Yeah,
right?
that's the one. Yeah. And it seems Lubavitcher Rebbe never took explicit sides, but it seems he holds like Rabbi Shapiro, and it seems that that's why the shluchim all over the world keep Shabbos on the Shabbos in that vicinity. Again, because according to Rabbi Ben Zion Shapiro, it works out very conveniently.
So Rav Shach had the. No, it's just,
I don't know what Rav Shach has.
So,
oh, now this I just remember what I wanted to say. Let's say a Rav has hashkafa,
Hashkafa has nothing to do with Rabbanim.
but they can't put on a community if they don't like a personal community. They can't put on a hashkafa that people don't want to listen, or they could,
They can do whatever they want.
but I don't have to listen, right?
If it's Hashkafa, Kishu, no. Okay? But that...
I heard once that's your opinion that there is no halacha in hashkafa. It's basically the same. At some point, they'll like if you look further up, they overlap. There is no such thing like hashkafa.
Well, let's put it differently. There's no such thing as an area which doesn't have some connection to halacha. But there are areas in which, I should say halacha ramifications perhaps, but there are areas, the fight over whether the state of Israel is a good thing or a bad thing, although people like the Satmar Rebbe puts it in halachic terms, it's not. It's pure hashkafa. There's no halacha involved. He does, but he puts it in halachic terms because he takes the 3 oaths as being true, valid halachic positions, whereas they are not. or at least certainly are no longer valid halachic
Yeah,
positions.
where Moshe writes straight out that it wasn't halachic.
Yeah.
As far as we're trying to get, is this would be like the pretty much the bulk of the halachic Dateline shirt?
Yeah, why? You want to leave?
No,
No,
I
can you
wanted to
answer the
know
question
so
about-
that if I don't want you to like not put in a part that's would be.
There are a couple more. There are a couple more important things. I
Yeah,
have
in
to
case I go to Hawaii or
Yeah.
Japan, you know.
So first of all, by the way, I want to tell you, Rabbi Sternbach has this wild and wacky suggestion, and I'm just presenting it actually basically for the what you call it, interest, what? The comic interest. He says that, he doesn't say it actually, he just suggests it. He says, he wants to say that Elu ve'elu different lukim chaim. Both Rabbi the Chazon Ish and Rabbi Tukachinsky are correct. In the northern hemisphere, the Halachic International Dateline runs 90 degrees east of Yerushalayim. In the southern hemisphere, the Halachic International Dateline runs 180 degrees east of Yerushalayim. Why? Because he says, just like the world is divided, somebody actually brought this up last time, I think. Just like the world is divided, the hemispheres this way in halacha, right? And that Yerushalayim is the center of this upper hemisphere. So too, we should divide the world in hemispheres this way in halacha. And since the only hemisphere in which there were Jews living at the time of the halacha being determined at the time of the Gemara, which we assume is in line of the Chazon Ish, was the upper hemisphere, the northern hemisphere. That's why halacha there should follow the Chazon Ish. Since there were no Jews in the southern hemisphere, so therefore the halacha was still up in the air, so to speak. And later on, when Rav Tukachinsky came on the scene with his logical svara, which is that it should be 180 degrees east of Yerushalayim, so then that halacha was applied to the southern hemisphere. So therefore, the line goes like this. Okay?
That's great.
That's cool,
so,
huh?
Wait. So does that mean the line runs along the equator? And if you go below the equator, you're switching days?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That
The reason why I want to do this, among other reasons, is because of the problem of Australia. Right? In other words, the Chazon Ish gets around the problem of Australia by saying, well, part of the landmass is in the hemisphere which includes Yerushalayim, so if it's all as...
Everyone holds of that line skirting land masses.
No, the Brisker Rav doesn't. That's why...
Everyone holds Siberia's in different time zones.
Right, 2 different days. And according to Brisker Rav, all the Jews who live in Australia are Muslims, since they live mostly in Sydney and Melbourne, are all Mechalei Shabbos. Okay?
How do we possibly even change them though? Like, how do we change them? They would have to either hold 6 days or
They
8
have to
days
keep
between
Shabbos,
one
according to
Shabbos
Brisker Rav, they should be keeping Shabbos on Sunday.
But if they were to suddenly, like, the Brisker Rav comes over there and goes, look, you're all doing this wrong, you're going to switch it to this day, then they're either going to have to hold 6, I don't know which way it works out, but 6 or
They'll
8
lose a
days
day,
until the next one.
whatever.
Like,
Again, if they
6
lose a
days,
day,
yeah.
whatever it is, yeah. That week, they'll be different, yeah. Because till then they were sinning. Okay? So, talk about living in sin. Children live in sin.
Robert.
You know what I haven't spoken about, which is important about crossing the date line. That's important.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Go.
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
Now, so if you cross, let's say,
Sunday.
actually Jews who live in Australia do not fly eastwards on Sunday, because it could be the moment you lift off the ground, when you're 10 fucking above the ground and you're no longer in the same halachic domain as the landmass of Australia, because you're more than 10 fucking above the ground, and certainly once you pass the shoreline, you're flying into Shabbos.
Oh, so I could just imagine some American who doesn't know.
10 fucking off the ground was considered neutrality.
It's neutrality, but that means it's no longer subject to what goes on below, right? So it could be that only people or things which are within 10 tefachim of the ground, wherever the ground is, are that, and therefore people also will not sail or swim on a beach off the coast of Australia on a Sunday, because they're swimming or sailing into Shabbos.
So you can't go surfing on Sundays in Australia.
Yeah. Now there is a shita, and again, this is I think Rabbi Sternbach who says it, that it goes by the line goes like this. That it's by the most easterly point, and therefore Sydney and Melbourne, which are on this side, would be okay. But most folks can assume that it follows the exact contours of the shores of Australia. New Zealand is a problem in any event, because New Zealand is, no part of it is in the upper hemisphere. It's on this side of the international date line, but on this side of the Halachic international date line, so therefore, according to Chazon Ish, the people in New Zealand are sinners no matter what. Okay? They are, because they're keeping Shabbos on Saturday. The Jews who live there now keep Shabbos on Saturday. Okay?
Let's go keep Shabbos on Saturday.
Rabbi, you're supposed to keep Shabbos on Saturday, what?
Yeah, but not because now you hold the Chazon Ish. According to Chazon Ish, they're supposed to keep Shabbos on Sunday.
According to the news, they should like for Australian would be Motzei Shabbos, for them would be Shabbos, right?
Yeah.
The sun, not sun,
Yeah.
right?
Erev Shabbos. Yeah.
Shabbos.
Yeah.
That'd be really confusing to grow up like that.
Okay.
Is there somebody who we follow by as majority opinion?
No, you can
No.
do whatever you like.
Yeah. Every
Is there an opinion that holds that none of this, like, none of this exists? Like it would fly?
So what?
The whole concept that there has to be a day change.
No, everybody holds has to be
Every
a day
holiday.
Rabbi,
One second. If you go to Hawaii, you have the opposite version, right? According to Rav C. Pesach Frank, you can do whatever you want, actually. According to Michael Tukachinsky, you really should be keeping Shabbos on Friday. Now, I heard that Rav Aaron Soloveitchik, paskin for somebody, I heard it, and I'm not sure if it's reliable, not reliable. Rav Aaron Soloveitchik held really like Rav Tukachinsky. That's 180 degrees. And therefore he paskin for somebody who's traveling to Hawaii to keep Shabbos on Friday. Look, on Saturday, not to do Malachos D'Oraisa, but on Friday to make Kiddush, etc., and to keep both the Raisas and the Rabbanos. By the way, Shabbos without the Rabbanos is very easy, right? If you only keep the Raisas of Shabbos, it's almost like a weekday. So therefore, he said again, Friday is the Ikar day of Shabbos.
You know, like dragging the dirt and everything, you know.
Yeah, but you can go on buses, trains, you know.
Right.
Go
You
buy
can
stuff.
You can write, have money, everything.
Mine are writing. It depends how you're writing.
Muktzah.
With a pencil, maybe. Not with a pencil. No muktzah. It's all the Rabbanans. Yeah.
How's it a
It's so
problem if
cool.
you're in Australia to fly to California
Right.
on Sunday?
By the way, it's very hard to ask if you can give you a great heter here. Even forget about the Rabbanans, even the Raisa. If you're already paid on Erev Shabbos, you can ride the subways for all of Shabbos. Okay? You can. You can stay in the subways and carry.
Just like you can
As long as you don't come up.
Just like if you put your TV on.
Well, because you're more than 10 tefachim below the ground. so
There's no tchum. There's no tchum.
Oh, wow.
There's no tchum underground. You can go wherever you want on the subway system.
So you're allowed to come out? You're allowed to come out and go somewhere else?
No,
Yeah, but then you're not. But you can't carry.
So that means if you're
So wait, if
you're not
you jump
carrying-
the turnstile, you're allowed to do it also, no?
It's also to jump the turnstile.
So if you have
you're
something to do
more than one tefachim away from somewhere else, you can put stuff in your pockets. I mean, if you're underground, you can put stuff in your pockets. Walk over somewhere else, take the stuff out of your pockets, and walk up in your.
Well, assuming that the
Like-
place underground all belongs to one entity, like the
That's-
city of New York.
so the problem with,
Yeah.
with the subway Shabbos thing is money. So what if you just jump over and steal?
It just adds also to jump over
Why?
because it's stealing.
So, but it's not breaking Shabbos.
Okay.
This is my question.
Yeah.
Suffolk the Yom.
I think we're gonna have to do another day on this.
Alright, we're gonna come.
What's like the is that like the
Well, he was in the middle of asking. Just a second. Yeah.
Suffolk the Yom isn't you're gonna have a problem with Suffolk the Yom
Right.
because you're not sure what day it is, right? So you're not sure. So you're gonna have like
I'm gonna come to that. I say I'm gonna have to put them off till tomorrow. I'll deal with that. Okay.
tomorrow.
What's the practical problem if you're in Australia on Sunday from taking an airplane? Because wouldn't you be like the traveler?
How are you gonna use the bathroom?
wouldn't you be like a traveler on a ship that?
Yeah, you could
but
stay
then
on the
Shabbat,
plane.
So it's not, that's not a problem. Travel itself is not a problem.
No.
Traveling through Shabbat is not a problem. either.
Right. But you can't go use the bathroom.
You can watch
But I
TV.
mean, as long as you have the most of things outside of your pockets,
So
And you don't turn on the lights or the blah,
but
blah.
you're not here for like lights or you're not here for
So
tequila
how-
or anything like that. So
how
you're
do
fine.
you go to the bathroom when you have to? If you would have to go to the bathroom, like you
What's
just
the
have
problem?
to.
You have to do
Yeah,
the
the light
sheet.
turns on. No,
That
You could do it in a cup or a
Wait a
can.
second. Yossi asked that if it's Shabbos, what's the problem to fly on Shabbos?
once you're in the if you got on the plane from before Shabbos.
So you're not
It's gonna land also.
No, you're not allowed to land on Shabbos.
What
If you land, you have a problem. But basically, if you land in a plane on Shabbos, there are specific halachos which determine where you can go and what you can do.
It's
Nowadays,
just like the ship, no, that docked on Travis never.
right. Whether you're allowed to leave, not allowed to leave, where you're allowed to go. It used to be in the days before airports had fences. Once upon a time, airports were just open, so you would not be allowed to leave the plane. They would, if you landed on Shabbos. You would have to be. They would have to carry you out bodily.
you're in a different domain.
Right.
You could even travel-
Tchum issue.
You couldn't even travel more than Dalet Amot from like where you landed, right? It's just like if you suddenly woke up in the middle.
Right. You can't go anywhere. They have to carry you out. But nowadays, that airports are enclosed, you can You can go anywhere within the airport.
So, Rebbe.
Yeah.
But couldn't you make your Erev on the plane? Say I just again.
There's no air tchumen from above 10 fachim to below 10 fachim.
Oh, so you can't make it to Erev Tchum in the air. Just
What
like
if beforehand you were to
I wanted
exchange
to
food
do
with a
this
person
with-
on its 10th Bachim below?
Right?
That means that with somebody inside the city in the airport, you decided to make an exchange of food. Put it. You can't do it within.
No.
Okay.
Now, could you have someone drive you before Shabbos, like 7 days before Shabbos, and this becomes your home?
Now, Rabbi, can you dig 10 fucking underground?
Yes.
But that would be the malacha thing.
Okay. So, but anyway, now if you land in the airport on Shabbos, you can walk and carry throughout the airport. You just can't leave the airport. You can't leave the.
What do you over if you land on Shabbos?
If you land on Shabbos,
Yes.
nothing.
So,
So basically,
Stay in the plane.
As long as you're honest, nothing.
And in an airport.
there's also
You're
another.
not allowed to deliberately leave in a way that you're going to land on Shabbos. But if your plane landed on Shabbos because it was delayed or something, you didn't transgress anything.
There's
You wouldn't want to
another.
go to a third
Oh,
world
so
country on
if one of those like last minute Shabbos things happens, and you happen to land on Shabbos, you're still okay.
Yeah, but you can't leave the airport.
Okay, so.
Yeah.
What if you're not okay anyway? What are you
So
gonna
it'd be
do?
an inspiration to all people around you. Know.
Wait, there's also another halachic shayla about time, because the upper part of Alaska and all the way to Sweden, this whole area. Let me show
Yeah, I
you.
don't want to talk about midnight sun today.
Oh, can we do that a different day?
Yeah, maybe. Okay.
It's called midnight.
All right. Yeah, midnight sun.
Last question.
Yeah,
If you're an astronaut, what do you do?
tomorrow.
Okay, good.
Any other questions about what we did so far tonight?
No,
No,
not tonight.
ask it.
That's tomorrow. Ask tomorrow.
Okay, so I'll tell you right now, up front,
Well, isn't there?
that if you ask me, and you don't have to ask me, but if you ask me, I would pass for you straight up like the Chazon Ish. Okay, that's my position on the matter.
For all those people who are
I
going
think
to
Chazon Ish is right. What?
We can put it wherever we want.
According to the T-Pace of Frank, you're right, you can.
Well, we're getting all the data from you, Rabbi. So
Right.
well, you're basking according to Kim. You do like Kazanish, right? You do whatever you want.
That's right, you have two there. I have two there, right, that's true. Right, you can use yeah.
all those people who are going
You can
to
make it two against one that way, yeah. All people go why are okay. It's really Japan which is the issue. Australia is also okay. New Zealand is the issue.
We got 10 minutes of visit.
Yeah.
Sorry, but if
Isn't
you
there an
practically want to
issue? Isn't there an issue? Is there a machlokas between Shabbos where you are, or where that? Let's say I kept Shabbos on. I already kept Shabbos, right? I'm in New York. I kept my Shabbos. I kept one of the 7 days in a week, right?
You can keep 2 Shabbos in a week. It's not a it's not a problem.
That's not a problem.
No.
Even though I already had
If
my
you fly
Shabbos.
with a supersonic jet into a place that's
Tomorrow we'll discuss Sfiras Omer. That's a problem. That's a problem.
Okay, wow, that's really cool. Rebbe,
Yes.
so practically speaking, what would you do if you wanted to go to Japan for a week, to a month, whatever?
You keep Shabbos on Sunday and avoid the rices on Saturday.
That's basically, it's not come to like this Kazanish, it's not.
What if I decide I want to be like the?
Well, the Chaznish would hold you're bound by minhag hamakom also. So it's even if they're doing the wrong thing, you can't just go out and undermine what they're doing.
Well, there's no minhag hamakom because they think itself it becomes funny minhag to say think it's Shabbos.
You're right. I don't know if the Chaznish would be like machmir like that. Could be the Chaznish could say just the malacha. So you're right. I'm not straight up Chaznish. You got me.
It's a good thing.
Touche.
It's a good thing that